One of my favourite games that I played last year was Blair Witch. I know, it came out in 2019, but I'm broke, so I had to wait to get my hands on it. It was quite possibly one of the best horror experiences I've had in the last few years. So, when I was given the chance to review another game by Bloober Team, I was very excited to say the least. And so, without further ado, let us dive into the world of The Medium. Just to make everyone aware, this review will contain one or two very minor spoilers, nothing that will ruin your experience if you haven't played the game yourself, but just be aware. In The Medium, you play as Marianne, an adult Polish orphan who is mourning the death of her foster father. You very quickly learn that she is the titular medium, and after a sufficiently creepy opening, you are contacted by a mysterious man who asks for your help. He directs you to the Neva Workers' Retreat, and this is where our story takes place. I'm not going to say anything else about the story itself in detail. I know we are early in the review, but the story is an absolute masterpiece and I don't want to risk giving anything about it away, but it is really, really good. What I am going to tell you about are the bits of the game I didn't like. Don't worry, this won't take long. This is a third-person horror game, which in itself isn't a bad thing, but this isn't an over-the-shoulder experience. This is a full cinematic style, which, while very effective, does on occasion get a little bit in the way of being able to look around the environment, and it leads to a lot of walking into walls, which, when you're dealing with a person who can see that which cannot be seen, looks a bit silly. There's a touch of style over substance about it, but this can be forgiven since when you really need it, chase scenes for example, the camera does exactly what you want it to do. Also, if you, like me, have played Blair Witch, then you will immediately feel at home in the forests around Neva, because they look pretty identical. I personally think it's the same forest from Blair Witch, with just a few sets added in, perhaps stuff they couldn't fit into Blair Witch. I mean, heck, there's even a campsite and a German Shepherd who would probably answer to Bullet if you called him it. Whether this is a lazy reuse of assets and world spaces, or clever economical game design, I'll leave that up to you, but given the detail in every other area of this game, it seems a shame that if they did reuse assets, and there is no real proof that they did, the forest environment didn't get quite the same care and attention. Don't get me wrong, the forest is, like every other environment, beautifully crafted. It's just that I felt like I'd seen it before. And one last nitpick. Some of the animations are a bit subpar for a studio with the talent and track record of Bloober Team. Let's not forget they also have Observer and Layers of Fear in their back catalogue. And for some reason, you can't sneak down the stairs, which in a horror game which involves you hiding from monsters, seemed like an odd omission. They don't break immersion or anything, but I have seen better in other modern games. With all that said, this is a phenomenal piece of game development, design and implementation. Graphically, there are moments where you would be forgiven for thinking they'd actually shot on location with actual cameras and actual film, and the diverse range of environments you find yourself in, both real world and supernatural, are detailed and gorgeously presented. Whoever did the lighting design deserves as many awards as they can get because it is some of the best work I have seen. The music, composed by Akira Yamaoka of Silent Hill fame and Arkadiusz Rajkowski, another Blair Witch connection, is masterful, and apologies to both of you if I have pronounced your names incorrectly. Haunting, moving and genuinely terrifying in equal measure, the soundtrack to this game is one of the best I've heard in recent times, and it works in perfect harmony with the fantastically eerie soundscapes that have been crafted to help make every corner of Neva and its environs as unnerving as the next. And unnerving is the word I would use to describe this game in general. It's not a visceral horror experience like Outlast. If you're expecting jump scares around every corner, you will not get them. But it is a brilliant example of true psychological thriller horror that messes with your mind and keeps you guessing at every turn. This story is told through a well-written script and some wonderfully delivered acting for every single character. There is no weak link. And the details in characterization are really deep, with perfect pacing in both the storytelling and the drip feeding of information, and with excellent use of both individual characteristics and game mechanics. To explain, Marianne is a medium, and it actually feels like she is. You have several tools at your disposal, and all of them feel important. You never just use any of your abilities once to get out of a tight spot. They are all available all of the time, and the game doesn't hold your hand about when to use them. It expects you to know that you have these skills on hand and to use them accordingly, but to its credit, it does give you a prod in the right direction when it's appropriate. All of this is aided by the much vaulted and patented simultaneous dual reality gameplay. This is where you exist and interact with both the physical world and the spirit world at the same time. On the face of it, it's just fancy split screen, but when you actually consider that it is two wholly separate, individual virtual environments that are synced up to absolute perfection, with your actions in either one affecting the other without dropping a single frame or losing any playability, it's a very impressive technical achievement, and it really does help cement the reality that Marianne is a medium who is not only attuned to, but lives in the spirit world near constantly. Also, the control setup is subtly different in both worlds, which is a small but incredibly cool little detail. This all adds up to make a game that is not just led by a fantastic story, but has been built around its story and its protagonist, and not the other way around. Nothing in my 7-hour playthrough felt arbitrary, tacked on or gimmicky. Everything the game asked me to do was logical and realistic, and the way I was asked to do it was always in keeping with Marianne's skill set. The Medium is a game that has a lot going on in a lot of different departments and a staggering amount of detail, and yet it never feels busy or cluttered. It has a lot of innovations and new mechanics, but it feels natural and familiar to play. It's not going to make a mess out of your trousers, but it will certainly give you some very uncomfortable moments and get inside your mind. If you're on Steam, it's well worth the $39.99 price tag, and if you're on Xbox Game Pass, it's even better value because it's included with your membership. The Medium is going to get one of the strongest recommendations I've ever given in a review. I would seriously consider giving it a look if you are a fan of psychological thriller horror. 9 out of 10. I've been Chris for Invicta magazine, and thank you for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed it, please do give this video a like and a share. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep up with all our latest content. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, plus we stream regularly on Twitch, and you can find all those links in the description below along with our website. See you next time. Goodbye for now.